Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Joanna, and in this video I'm going to be telling a story, a really interesting story. And so I'm going to be telling a story of how I attended 4 different schools in almost consecutive semesters. And when I say almost consecutive semesters, what I mean is that 3 of the schools were in consecutive semesters, and one of them was not. One of them was a summer apart from the others. So, but all of this was in the space of about 1.5 years. Okay, guys. So, backstory: I graduated with my undergrad, from my undergrad college in 2018, and I had my undergrad degree in health science. Now, once I graduated, I was able to do my 1-year OPT. For those who don't know, OPT is basically optional practical training. It's an opportunity for internationals to work for a year after graduating college. But if your major is on the STEM list, then you are able to extend your OPT for 2 more years. Even though health science is science, it did not make the STEM list as at 2018 because rules change, things change. So I don't know what the rules are right now as regards health science. But so I had 1 year of OPT. So that means that, after the 1 year of OPT, I have to do something. So I ended up going back to school. I got in contact with my pastor's wife, and they are into like admission processing and all of this stuff. So through them, I was able to gain admission to Claflin University. So I got into Claflin University, but I applied to 2 different master's programs in Claflin. The first one was biotechnology, which was what I wanted to do, and the second one was MBA program. So I got admission to the MBA program, but I didn't get admission to biotech, which was what I wanted to do. Specifically, I wanted to do biotechnology. I came down to Orangeburg, where the school is located, and with the because as an international, you have to do something, right, based on US rules, because we are placed on these really stringent rules here. Like, if you don't go back to school, you'll be out of status, or if you maybe go through other routes where like you get a company that would file immigration papers for you. That's another conversation. But for me, that was trying to get my master's, I had to go back to school. So I came down to Orangeburg from Tennessee, where I was, and then I came to the school, and so I tried to get information about what happened, why didn't I get into the biotech program and stuff, because that's what I really wanted to do. So what had happened was that I went to the biology department just to ask, like, okay, what happened? Like, I'm really trying to do this course, but I didn't get admission. I didn't even hear anything from them. I had to go there directly. They told me that they mailed my decision letter somewhere, but I don't even know where they mailed it to. I didn't even see it. So I went there and I asked them. I was like, okay, what happened, you guys? Oh, so they told me that I needed to take some prerequisites, and I'm just going to name them. And the reason I hadn't taken these prerequisites was because I was health science for undergrad, right? So that means that I was not biology. And if I was biology, I would have taken these classes, as part of like the curriculum. But because I was not biology, I was health science. So I had to go take these classes before reapplying to the master's program. So I would name the classes genetics, genetics and genetics lab, cell biology with lab, molecular biology with lab, organic chemistry 1 and 2 with lab, biochem. Now there's biochem 1 and 2. At the time I thought it was just biochem. It was biochem 1 and 2 that I had to do, but apparently down the line I realized that they needed just one biochem for me. They needed biochem 1. Now I'm saying this because of something that I would say later on in the story. And cell biology, yes. So they gave me this list of classes that I had to go take before admission into the program. Now this is me who had already finished undergrad. Now they're asking me to go back and take undergrad classes. So I was like, it's okay, I would bite the humble pie or whatever. I mean, I was trying to this was my goal. So it's not like I really had a choice. I had to do what they asked me to do. A lot happened that I'm not going to get into right now, but I started taking the prereqs in the spring of 2020. I started taking prereqs in the spring of 2020. Now, so just so you know, I did a video before this video, and in that video I explained a lot of things. I went into details about a lot of things, but I would just say that when I was to start my prereqs in the spring of 2020, I only had in my account about 1,000, was it like 1,800 or 1,600? Okay, so just so you know, with these schools, right, if you're trying to go to school, with my school, which was Claflin University, you before the semester starts, right, before you can proceed with taking classes for the semester, you have to register for classes, and after that you have to pay the down payment. Now for my school, the down payment was about half of your total bill. So my down payment will have been about $4,000, right? Now when I came to school, backstory, I had worked, saved some money up. So all the money I had saved up was about maybe like 1,800 or 1,600, one of those. But I would say like maybe 1,800 or 1,600. So I went to the school, and I went to just pay all that I had. Now this is just a story of fate. Just thinking about it. So I'm going to be mentioning the schools that I attended and the semesters that I attended them. So in the spring of 2020, I attended Claflin University, which was the school that asked me to take the prereqs. In the fall of 2020, I attended Glendale Community College, which was in California. I attended that online due to COVID. That year was when COVID hit, and students had to go online for classes. Now in the spring of 2021, which was the next semester, I attended Los Angeles Community College, which was in LA, but that was also online. In the summer of 2021, I attended University of California, Santa Cruz, and I took just one class in UCSC. Okay, so back to my story about Claflin. So once I submitted, I paid all that I had. All that I have, I give to you. So I gave them all that I had. So but it wasn't enough. For down payment, I was supposed to have paid about $4,000, and I had about $1,800 or $1,600. I think it was. Now I need to confirm this. I actually need to confirm this. Now, give me a second. I'm going to confirm this. Okay, so I found the amount. I ended up paying into the school's account 1,655, and mind you, my tuition money, or the money I was supposed to pay for tuition, was so I paid into the school's account 1,655, but my tuition was about 8,238, right? So 8,238. Now ride with me. And there were also other expenses like technology fee, pre-alumni fee. Let's just say if we add everything together, I was supposed to pay for tuition in total about 8,500. So if we're dividing 8,500 by 2, we're looking at 4,250, right? So I was supposed to pay 4,000 something 250 for my down payment. I ended up paying 1,655. Okay, now the deadline for completing the down payment was approaching, and I did not have money to pay. This was all the money that I had. This was all the money that I had saved up for school, right? So I was praying and I was telling God, because I had gone through such a rough 2019 and this was 2020. I was praying to God. I was like, God, please, like all the stuff I went through 2019, I did not want to go through it 2020 with school. So I just took a step of faith. Now, this step that I took might be very controversial. I went because when I was in undergrad, my dad would usually send my money through wire transfer. So he would transfer the money, and sometimes from Nigeria, and sometimes the wire transfer would take like a while, like maybe a week or something. So I went to the administration building in my school at Claflin University, and I told them, I just spoke by faith, because then my dad had already told me that he's not paying for my master's education, that one was now on me. So, but I was still praying to God that maybe God would touch his heart and stuff. So because the deadline was approaching, on the day that students were supposed to get purged, because if you did not meet the deadline, you did not finish paying your down payment, you get purged out of classes. That means that you're no longer registered for classes in the system. And after another deadline, right, maybe like a month or something, I don't know, if you are not registered back to classes, then your situation will get reported to the USCIS and you can go off status. And so on the day that students were supposed to get purged from their classes, that's the last day that was the deadline for down payments. I basically went to meet the person in charge, the person that was actually purging people. I went to meet her and I said, ma'am, my money is not here. My dad is sending the money. Now, mind you, like I said, I'm speaking by faith, because I was still praying that my dad would send me money. For some reason, he had already said he wasn't, but I was speaking by faith. So I went to meet the woman and I said, my dad will send me money. Please hold me in the system for a week. He's sending me money through wire transfer and it wouldn't get here until about a week's time, right? So I told her, hold me in the system for a week. So she was like, okay, no problem. Since your dad is sending you money, your tuition money from Nigeria, I would hold you in the system for a week. But if you do not pay the down deposits for that week, after in that week, in a week's time, you will get purged. Ladies and gentlemen, now this was one of the longest weeks ever for me, because when I was walking back home from school, That's the longest walk I've ever had. I was thinking in my mind, what am I going to do? I did not have money. All the money I had saved up, I had put it into school. Who was going to give me almost 2,000 something, right, to balance up my down deposit? So, and like I said, I'd already been through a lot from the previous year. I was just crying to God. There was several thoughts that came through my mind, several thoughts of what I could do, because I was like, okay, I don't know what to do. I had several thoughts running through my mind. Like, what can I do? Who is the richest person in Orangeburg? Who can I go and meet and beg? What, like, several thoughts came through my mind. Now, the days just kept going by and I did not have the money. But I just kept praying to God, Sha. So the day to get purged came. That was on a Thursday. It came and I was already expecting to get purged. Now, if you get purged out of classes, when you go to class, the professor will tell you that, okay, you are no more registered for this class. You need to go and meet the financial services office and handle your business with them. But when I went to class that day, no professor said anything to me, because I was expecting them to say, oh, Joanna, you got purged, because that's what they would usually do. But nobody said anything to me. I was like, what's going on? And I decided not to check through the system to see if I was purged or not, because it was just too traumatic for me. Just because if you get purged, then you can go off status, and that was one of my greatest fears. Like, as an international student, that's one of your biggest fears, like going off status. What's going to happen to you? So I did not check. The next day I went to class. No professor said anything. I was like, what is going on? Now, in my school, we had a system where, like a website where we have all the classes that we are taking for the semester. So those classes, that website is where we do our homework, our assignments, and all of that good stuff. Sometimes we even take exams on the system. It's called Moodle. Now, on Moodle, my classes were still there. Because if you get purged and you're no longer registered for classes, your classes would no longer be reflected on Moodle. So I went on Moodle. My classes were still on Moodle. I was like, how are my classes still on Moodle? This thing I'm saying, in a serious matter, I can like laugh about it now and just crack jokes about it. But when you are in the heat of it, you know that this is no joke. This is life, real life, that you're going through. So the next week came, same thing happened. I was like, what happened? So I just kept on going to classes. In fact, I even thought maybe they purged me, but my classes were still showing on Moodle for some reason. That's what I was thinking, that they probably had already purged me, but like maybe the classes did not get purged on Moodle. That's what I was thinking. Maybe the professors still see my classes on Moodle and they're like, oh, she's still here, right? I don't know. And then I just kept, this mid-semester midterm exams came. I wrote my midterm exams. Then I couldn't find my results on my Claflin. We have another portal where we, most of these schools have two portals. One portal is like for all your administration, all your administration details, your tuition, your class, everything is on there. The other one is just strictly for school work, assignments, homework, and stuff like that. My Claflin was the one for administration and all of that stuff. So I went on there. I tried to see my grades, but I didn't even know where I was supposed to go. So where I went to, I didn't see my grades. So in my mind, I was like, oh yeah, they didn't post my grade because I haven't paid in full, so that's why they didn't post my grades. Apparently I went to the wrong place because I was talking to one of my friends, Miracle, and Miracle was like, okay, what were your grades? I was like, I don't know what my grades are. Maybe because I've not paid. So Miracle was like, okay, maybe she will show me where she went to find her own grades. So I was like, okay. So she showed me, and I saw my grades. So apparently they posted my grades. So you guys know what happened. Because also that was the COVID year, that was the COVID semester. So at some point, like after our midterm exams, we had to go on. So after midterms, we went on spring break. After spring break, the school gave us another week break because they were trying to figure out this whole COVID stuff and how to handle it. So we had an extended break. So they gave us 1 more week because the school was just trying to figure out what to do since COVID had hit, and most schools were trying to decide what to do. So we ended up going online, fully online after that. So after that, my classes were online, and I kid you not, that semester, that spring 2020 was a very difficult semester for me. Like, my computer was messing up. I didn't have money. I wasn't even working that semester. I wasn't working. I didn't have money. I don't even know how I survived that semester, honestly, because there was no money. There was nothing. So to even feed was a problem. So I don't even know how I survived though. I honestly don't know. I wasn't even feeding right. I wasn't eating right. There are days when it's just like, I don't even know what I'm eating. I'm just like going to Dollar General to try to get something. Those were really challenging times. So you guys know what happened. I think what happened was, I told the woman to hold me in the system for a week. The woman forgot. She forgot to, when the week came, the next week came, she forgot to purge me out of the system. So this singular decision this singular occurrence was what saved me from being purged out of classes. Because if I had been purged and I did not have any means of paying, of which I didn't have any means of paying, I would have been off status. So that was one way that God saved me from going off status that semester. Glory be to God. Okay, guys. So I completed the semester online, despite all the challenges. That was actually the semester I had all A's. I ended up with all A's that semester. For my midterm exams, I didn't have all A's. I had like A's and B's, and when my friend Miracle was like encouraging me, she was like, you know what, at the end of this semester, both of us have to have all A's. That was the goal. So that was my first semester ever of having all A's. I never had all A's in all my classes. Glory be to God, because that semester was tough. Computer issues, financial issues, stress, everything was going on at the same time. No work, no job. So for me to actually have had all A's was by the mercy of God. And also I had a very good friend, Miracle, that was very encouraging. Back to my story. Now, in the summer of 2020, I worked. And the plan was work, and save up for school, because remember that Claflin had already given, the biology department in Claflin had already given me a list of classes I had to take. The goal was to get into the master's program. I had not even gotten into my master's program yet. I was still taking prereqs, right? So I took, for that semester at Claflin, for spring 2020, I took genetics genetics lab, molecular biology and molecular biology lab, and then I took organic chemistry 1 and organic chemistry lab. I took a total of 12 credit hours that semester. Now, so I still had more classes to take. I had organic 2, I had biochem, I had organic 2, biochem, and I also had cell biology to take. So once the summer hit, I worked during the summer, and the plan was just to like gather money, and all the money I gathered, I was going to use it to pay for tuition. But the problem was, I was supposed to pay about 8,500 in total to Claflin University for the spring semester. I ended up paying only 8,655. Now, if I was to go back to Claflin the next semester, which was fall of 2020, I would have to balance up the money I owed before now paying down payments for the new semester. Do you get it? So, and ain't no way, no matter how much I saved for this from working during the summer, I knew that there was no way I was getting that money in total. Like, there was no way I was getting about 6,000, maybe 6,000 something, and then saving that, and then saving another 4,000 for down payments for the next semester. So we were looking $10,000. There was no way I was having that money during the summer based on the money I was getting from work. So I knew that was a done deal. So now the next option was, okay, I need to transfer to another school. Yo, guys, this was, you know, the funny thing, just thinking about it, I don't even know what I was doing. I was just walking by faith because nothing made sense. So my plan was I would transfer to another school so that the other school I was transferring to had to be a cheap school. So I would transfer to a cheap school, and then once I transferred to a cheap school, I would at least have the down deposits for the cheap school. Now, once I worked during the summer, before the fall 2020 semester resumed, and the plan was not to return to Claflin. Because if I had returned to Claflin, I would not have had the money to pay the bills for Claflin, right? Now, I started looking for schools at the brink of the start of the fall semester. That means I had not even got, by the time I got to Orangeburg to start looking for schools were about to resume. And schools were about to resume and I had not gotten I don't know where to go yet. So I started doing the week before Claflin resumed. I started doing Google search. Cheapest schools in Orangeburg, cheapest schools in South Carolina, cheapest. I started doing Googles. In fact, I had a book where I started writing all the information I was finding. Google heard of me. I started digging deep. Okay, but you know the funny thing was, I was trying to stay on status. That means go to school. But aside from that, I was also trying to take the classes because remember, the goal was to take all my prereqs. So I was looking for schools that had these prereqs. And you know, like, the cheapest schools usually are community colleges. But I needed not just any community college, but a community college that was offering these classes that I needed. And at that time, I needed organic 2. I thought I needed biochem 1 and 2, but I ended up realizing that I just needed biochem 1 and then cell biology. In fact, another thing was the semester I took molecular biology, that was spring semester, I was actually supposed to take cell before molecular, but because cell was not being offered before molecular, I got a waiver a pass to take molecular, which was supposed to be taken after cell. I got a waiver to take molecular before cell, which a lot of strange things happened that 2019, 2020, 2020. A lot of strange things happened in my life, very strange occurrences, stuff that I'm just like all these things is the hand of God. So I started doing Google search. I had a book. I always have my books. If you look through my journals, they are loaded. They are loaded. My book, I would write all the schools down. I made like a table. I write name of the school I found, the tuition and fees, down deposits requirement. I will go to their accounts, I'll go and check the tuition and fees, look for the information for down deposit, so I looked for all that information. I will write, and then I started comparing. So I kept doing all of this, and I was still not finding what I needed. So I remember I was in the sitting room or the living room at my apartment. Then I was just like, God, I'm tired. Like, I was just searching, and it was already almost time for schools to start resuming. So I remember going to the bathroom, and when I went to the bathroom, I had on my way to the bathroom, I was thinking about it. I was like, God, okay, I've been trying to look for schools in my own power, by my own strength. It's not working. I said, God, please, just do it for me. Lead me to the school to go to. And that's such a powerful prayer, because as Christians, sometimes we forget that we actually have a helper in the Holy Spirit. We forget that the Holy Spirit is there to help us. So at this point, I had exhausted all my strength. I was like, I had written down a bunch of schools, several different schools. But now I'm like, God, I want you to pick for me. And trust me, when God picks for you, He picks best. So I told God, I need you to lead me to the right school now. So I put a prompt on Google. I said cheapest schools, something. Cheapest. I just put a prompt, and I saw this school, Glendale Community College, and it was in Glendale, California. And as I saw that school, I had that nudge that was the school that I should apply to. So when I saw Glendale, I applied to Glendale by faith. In fact, the application was really interesting, because I even had to write essay. You know those essays that we wrote before when we were applying to undergrad college that had done and passed? I had to start writing essay again. Describe yourself. Why do you want to go to our school? What are your aspirations? I had to write those. I was like, bro, I had to start forming essay. I'm like, I thought I've gone past this in my life. I wrote essay. I submitted the application, and they gave me admission. So I